about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see.
How would you like to get complete cooperation from anyone in any situation? Well, now you can, if you follow these surefire tactics for cooperation anytime, any place, for just about anything. These are the 10 factors that influence whether somebody helps you out or politely or not so politely refuses your request. If you're worried that once he agrees to help he might not follow through, simply use the techniques in Chapter 15. Get anyone to follow through on a commitment to you. 1. Time component. When is the best time to ask for a favor? Should you ask close to the time you want someone to take action, or as far in advance as possible? The answer is when the event is farther in the future. As the event approaches, the greater the anxiety and the realness of what he has to do sets in, and the less likely it will be for you to gain cooperation. If you need help with something right away, though, studies suggest that you should find someone who is not rushed or preoccupied with something else. The ability to gain cooperation from someone who is not under a time constraint goes up dramatically compared with someone who is preoccupied or rushed. 2. Reciprocity. Have you ever wondered why religious groups offer passersby a flower or some other gift in the airport? They know that most people who accept the gift will then feel compelled to give a small donation. We know we don't have to, but we can become uncomfortable even though we didn't ask for the gift in the first place. When someone gives us something, we often feel indebted to that person. If you offer something, anything, to your target person, you will significantly increase compliance. Your gift can take the form of your time, your attention, or even a small gesture or compliment. 3. Bystander apathy. Numerous studies in helping show that as the number of bystanders increased, the percentage of individuals who helped those in need decreased. This is called the bystander effect, whereby behavior is influenced by the diffusion of responsibility. This is true of almost all situations. When you want someone to do something for you, let him know that you have no one else to turn to. If he thinks that you can go to anyone and that it's not up to him to be the good guy, then his sense of responsibility is lessened, and he doesn't feel any moral obligation to help out. 4. Mood. Is it best to wait for him to be in a good mood before you ask? Not necessarily. There are actually slightly different dynamics at work, and hence strategies, depending on his mood. Research shows that if he's in a good mood, you want to let him know clearly what you need for him to do, and that he will feel good about it in some way. This is because positive emotions can result in less helpfulness if the need is ambiguous or the consequences of helping are unpleasant. When we're feeling good, we don't want to lose our mood. Studies also show that negative emotions can increase a person's willingness to help because helping makes people feel good, and those in a bad mood are motivated to take action to make themselves feel better. There are some exceptions here, but for the most part, the required behavior has to be perceived as relatively easy and effective, and it has to seem clear that the helpful act will lead to more positive feelings. So when he's not in a great mood, be sure to emphasize that what you want him to do will not take a lot of effort, and that he will indeed feel good after he's done what you've asked of him. 5. Apathy or empathy. If the person thinks that your situation is due to incompetence or ignorance, you will generate apathy, not sympathy. And if you don't have a person's empathy or sympathy, it is much more difficult to get his help. Studies show that you will increase your chances of being helped if your problem is not perceived as your own doing. This, by the way, is why so many of us are eager to provide help to a sick or injured animal, a dog, for instance. We feel so bad because we know that this was done to the dog and that he didn't inflict it on himself. Contrast this with the oblivious attitude many big city people have as they step over a homeless human being in the street. He's probably on drugs or a drunk, they may think to themselves. How did they get themselves into this mess? When the individual is not responsible, we feel empathy, which motivates within us a strong desire to try to be helpful. You do this by making the person you want to help aware, if this is the case, that the situation you find yourself in was caused by external events, and that you are, in a sense, a victim of the situation. 6. Similarity. Put simply, we tend to help more those whom we like, and we like those who are like us. For a more detailed explanation, listen to Chapter 1, Get Anyone to Like You Every Time. The fact is that we are always more inclined to help those whom we like, and we often like someone because he is just like us or is similar in some respects. 7. Internal consistency. Fascinating studies regarding memory and behavior conclude that people often base their self-concept on availability, or how easily they can bring information to mind. For instance, if you were asked, think of several times where you acted impulsively and were able to recall these events with relative ease, then you would see yourself, at least temporarily, as someone who was impulsive. However, if you had difficulty recalling times when you were impulsive, your self-concept would conform around your inability to quickly access the memories, and you would conclude, at both the conscious and unconscious levels, that you are someone who considers carefully before taking action. And this rule of human behavior is pertinent because it coincides with the law of expectation. We act in accordance with how we see ourselves. You've heard by now, through the other chapters, the power of ego and our need for internal consistency with how we see ourselves and how we behave. So, follow the logic through. If you change someone's self-concept, then you change his behavior. And now we know how a person's self-concept is altered, by the ease or difficulty of recall. Since we base our judgments on the ease of recall, you have the technique to change how somebody sees himself. Then his actions automatically align themselves with this revised self-concept. This is so powerful because it also engages a third law of consistency. Put simply, consistency is the unconscious desire of human beings to act in a manner consistent with their self-concept. For example, if you see yourself as a loving, caring person, it is almost impossible for you to act in a manner that is rude and obnoxious for any length of time. Now, if you want a high-strung person to be calm and relaxed, if you don't think that he will be able to recall too many times when he was calm, that's not a problem. Research shows that you can achieve the desired outcome, having him temporarily think of himself as a calm person, by having him elaborate on a specific time that he was calm. This is because he will paint for himself a mental picture of his state. And as the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. The time he spends remembering the event is a fair substitute for the number of times he experienced it. PowerPoint. It's for this reason that some people have such a warped perspective of themselves. They have a computer-like memory when it comes to remembering their failures and mistakes in life, so this is how they see themselves, as failures. Even if our accomplishments far outweigh our mistakes, it's what we remember, the failures, that dictates how we feel about ourselves. Getting someone to do you a favor is infinitely easier with this tactic because we act in accordance with how we see ourselves. And if you change how a person sees himself, then you can instantly change his behavior. 8. Leading by example. Knowing others did the right thing invokes an unconscious desire to do the same. It can actually lead to an increase in blood donations, as Erwin Saracen and his colleagues, 1991, found after soliciting nearly 10,000 students at high schools. Students who viewed a slideshow that mixed in 38 photos of high school blood drive scenes were 17% more likely to donate than those who did not see those pictures. Simply, viewing photos of people donating blood prompted more students to do the same than among those who did not see those pictures. Countless studies ranging from donating money to one's desire to help someone change a flat tire show this very same thing. The evidence is clear that pro-social models do promote altruism. There will be many times when you simply aren't able to have someone witness others doing what you want him to do. And that's fine, because you can enact this law without having this person actually witness another individual helping. And in reality, it can be more effective because, as you heard before in law number 3, you want to avoid diffusing the social responsibility to act. Therefore, if someone learns of all those others who are helping, it may produce the opposite effect. Instead, use metaphors and stories, which are powerful tools of persuasion. Tell him of those who have helped in similar situations. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, to produce the desired psychological effect. 9. The ego. Studies conclude that people are more inclined to be helpful to a friend if the friend's success does not pose a threat to their own self-esteem. This is why we might be more likely to help a stranger than someone we know. Make sure that the person doesn't feel threatened by you or that you are in some way in competition with her. Also, envy or jealousy at any level can inhibit an atmosphere of cooperation. Try to remove any element of competition between you. You want to promote a you and me against something else, rather than you helping me to get what I want. 10. The power of persistence. Most people say no because they are resistant to change. Instead of asking just 1 or 2 times, don't give up until you ask 6 times. According to research, that's the magic number. Across the board, most people will tend to agree to something after being asked up to 6 times. Of course, some say yes right away or after just a few times, but keep asking. PowerPoint. Clearly, he should care about you and the situation. And if you've done a good job with your tactics, then he will. If, however, he still doesn't seem overly enthused about helping, research indicates that when empathy is low, we are more concerned with rewards and costs. Therefore, if in the end he simply doesn't care, then you need to explain clearly what he will get in exchange for helping you. Now, it's a simple matter of illustrating how the benefits of helping exceed the trouble involved. Strategy review. If you need something done in the near future, ask when he is not preoccupied with something else. If it is for something that does not need to be done right away, ask for the favor as soon as possible, farthest from the time that he will have to do it. Engage the law of reciprocity by doing something for him. Your gift can take the form of your time, your attention, or even a small gesture or compliment. Avoid apathy by increasing personal responsibility. This is done by letting him know that you have no one else to turn to. Your request should contain 3 components. A. Specifically what you want. B. How he will in some way feel good about doing you the favor. And C. The relative ease with which he can accomplish the task. If your situation is due to your incompetence, you will generate apathy, not sympathy. Focus on any elements of your predicament that were not your own doing. Reshape his self-concept to include the idea that helping you is something that is consistent with who he is. Knowing others did the right thing invokes an unconscious desire to do the same. Have him witness or simply tell him about those who have helped in similar situations. Studies conclude that if she feels threatened by your success, you will not get her cooperation. Explain the situation as the 2 of you working toward a common objective where you both win. Most important is to keep asking. Many times, people just say no because it's easy and they're used to it. Persistence in asking, in accordance with these laws, will give you every opportunity to gain cooperation. Finally, once he agrees to help, it's important that he follow through. Therefore, use the techniques in Chapter 15 to get anyone to follow through on a commitment to you, to make sure that you get the help that is promised to you.